I'm John White. We're continuing our tour of the New Mexico State University Fabian Garcia demonstration garden, looking at some of the trees for the southern part of the state. And behind me is a good example of a Mexican redbud. And this redbud is a native of the Trans-Pecos area, Chihuahuan Desert. And this has a very leathery leaf with kind of a glossy top on it that's a lot different than our true redbud. And this one has a lot more drought tolerance because of that leathery, waxy type leaf on it. It's able to hold water in its leaf much longer, don't get as much leaf burn on it. You can see the seed pods are just beginning to mature. They have that nice red color to them, and as they begin to dry, they'll turn a dark red color. And so the tree has a beautiful kind of fuchsia pink bloom on it, much like the other redbuds. Timing is just about the same. It's just it has this little adaptation of the thicker leaf on it, waxier leaf, that gives it that added protection. You'll again probably see somewhere around 20-25 feet in height on this tree. It is deciduous, so as it loses its leaves during the winter, a lot of times grown as a multi-trunk, so you'll see several different trunks on it. Can be pruned up into a single trunk, but excellent tree for the southern part of the state. Very, very colorful in the spring, one of the first bloomers in the spring. So again, this is Mexican redbud. Let's go take a look at another. This relatively large tree here is one of my favorites. This is a Chinese pistache. And the Chinese pistache is an ornamental tree, but it is related to the pistachio that we eat. It has separate male and female organs on it, or flowers on it. You can see that we have the seed forming on this one. This is the female tree. That seed will turn bright red here in a few months. Very, very colorful, especially as the tree begins to lose its leaves in the fall. Those red berries stay behind and it gives a little added look to it. In some instances, that can be some extra mess to handle, so you may want to go with the male tree, which doesn't produce the seed on it. So these trees are very colorful in the fall because the foliage turns kind of a burgundy or maroon colored. So you have a very nice colorful foliage on it that again will fall off during the winter, so the tree is deciduous. They will get up around 30-35 feet tall and probably at least that wide, so they make a nice fast-growing tree. We found them to be quite drought tolerant in the southern part of the state, so they really do make a good tree. So again, this is Chinese pistache. One of the other trees that I like a lot for the southern part of the state is the Texas honey mesquite. And the honey mesquite, I think, is one of the most gorgeous native trees of our area. When it's coming out in the spring and has that very light green color to the leaves, and it just really stands out among some of the other plants that have a little bit darker green foliage on it. It gives you kind of a lacy shade, so there's a lot of things that you can grow under mesquites. It's not a real dense shade, yet it's enough to cut the afternoon heat. It has kind of a weeping type growth habit to it, and some of the older mesquites, the trunks form a kind of a nice characteristic gnarl to them, and they do tend to try and be a shrub when you first have them young. There's a lot of suckers that come out of them, so it requires a little bit of early training, but then the tree will develop its characteristic shape to it. As you can see, this tree is much wider than it is tall, and that's kind of the characteristic of the growth habit on it. So we'll see these trees have easily a 50 or 75 foot spread to them and may only be 25-30 feet tall, so they will be quite wide. But again, I think an excellent tree will get by on extra water or a little bit of water. The tree does have the ability to find water at great distances, so it kind of takes care of itself. So it works quite well in our landscapes here. So again, this is Texas honey mesquite, excellent tree for xeriscape and use here in the southern part of the state. So let's go ahead and take a look at another tree. This bright, colorful, small tree is called a golden ball lead tree, and this is a native tree to the Chihuahuan Desert. You can see it has these bright yellow flowers on it that give it that golden ball color. And this is a tree that'll get up somewhere around 18 to 20 feet tall. You can see it's multi-trunk, as a lot of our native trees are. Light foliage, so it's not going to be anything that's going to shade out a lot of plants, so you can grow a lot of things underneath it. It'll probably take a little bit of extra pruning early on to keep the tree into a multi-trunk, otherwise it'll tend to shrub up on you. It is deciduous, so it'll lose its leaves. As these flowers are pollinated, they do produce a pod, kind of a mesquite bean pod type of thing that's produced on the tree, so it can develop maybe a little bit of litter from that, but it is a tree that gets by on very little water. Good plant for a xeriscape landscape, or a situation where you just need a small to medium-sized tree that's not going to be real, real large, going to take up a lot of space. So this is an excellent tree. Again, golden ball lead tree. You may have to look at some of the more specialty nurseries that handle native plant material to really find this one, but it is an excellent plant. Does quite well in the area, and so again, good tree for xeriscape. Hopefully the trees we have looked at on the show today are trees that you might want to use in your yard or your landscape. Give a little bit of diversity to the landscape. Sometimes we get in the habit of putting too many of the same kind of plants in our landscapes, and we develop kind of a monoculture. So it's good to add some diversity and add some different plants into the landscape. So hopefully you've gotten that from the show today. There are resources that can help you with that. The New Mexico Native Plant Society has an excellent booklet out on native plants of New Mexico, as well as the college website, and you can go onto that and find a lot of information on different plants that can grow in some of the xeriscape landscapes that we have here in New Mexico. So again, hope you enjoyed the tour today.